Well, with me today is Miss Lisa Harris, which I'm 99% sure you guys know her. She's the one that trained me on the MLS, which is almost 10 years ago now, Lisa. Can you believe that?
Oh my gosh, it's been that long?
Yeah.
I can't believe
October,
it.
the end of the year.
That's crazy.
End of the year, it will be 10 years. And what's really funny, Dave DeReese, our CEO, asked Lisa, do you think you could help train for a little bit while we move over to the new system?
Yeah, a little bit. That was, I don't know how many years did I say it's been? I think, am I at 14? Maybe something crazy like that. It's only supposed to be 6 months. So much for that. Yeah. That's okay though. I love what I do.
6 years, 16 years. You never let a good thing go. Well, as you guys know, today is our transaction desk and Authentisign 2.0, taught by a realtor, not by me. You know, Lisa's the one with the real experience, the real live experience. I can tell you about the system, but Lisa knows the ins and outs. So just a little bit of housekeeping today. I'll be in the background working on your questions so Lisa can concentrate on teaching. We also have 5 different handouts uploaded in the GoToWebinar. Don't forget, you can also find all of our handouts in Paragon in the upper right-hand corner, all the way at the very under the MLS documents. Just search for the folder called MIRS Education. There are 89 different cheat sheets in there, and so many of them were done by Lisa. So I'm going to turn my camera off and my microphone so Lisa can concentrate on class.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to get started. I was hoping there's supposed to be quite a few more coming on, so hopefully they'll come on soon, but I don't want to waste too much time. So a couple of things. If you have questions along the way, Deb's still here, so she's going to be watching for questions. So on the right side of your screen where she has those attachments, there's also an area for you to either type in a question or you can raise your hand, and I'll try to stop in between as well. So through Transaction Desk first. We're going to run through, put in all the information we need to write an offer on a contract. Then we're going to take that offer, we're going to pull it right into Authentisign. And I know that not everyone's been on that new Authentisign 2.0, but once you get to know it, it's so much better than the old one. It's much faster, and it just seems to, it's pretty easy to navigate through once you figure out where everything's at. So we're going to get started in Paragon. So if you haven't logged in, please log into your Paragon account. And I'm going to turn off my video screen so you can see my actual screen as well here. Give me 1 second. And everyone can see my screen at this point. If you can't see the screen, please let me know. But we should be in Paragon, so that's where we're going to get started. So if you could please go into your Paragon account, log in, and we're going to start off with a property. So you have a couple of different ways in Transaction Desk to write up your contracts. You can either go directly from a listing. You have a shortcut in your listing itself that takes you right into Transaction Desk, and it starts everything for you to start your transaction. Or you can go directly from Transaction Desk itself. So if you're going from Transaction Desk, you're going to go under your resources, and you're going to look for, actually, one second, I got on my screen here that show you. So under resources and all the way on the right under your online forms is your transaction desk. But we're going to start from Paragon from a listing. So the best way to do this is if you don't have a property you're trying to write an offer on, let's go through my property. So that way if you do set up the signing and you want to send it to me, I'll know it's not a real offer. So I'm going to give you my listing, and we're going to start off with that. So you can type in at the top here under your power search. I'm going to give you the MLS number. It's probably the easiest way to get it. So it's going to be, let me type it in here for you real quick. So 50064939. So as you type it in, you should see it pop up underneath. So it's going to be on Janet's Circle, 41460 Janet Circle. So once you see it, just go ahead and click on it. We want to open up that full listing report. Now, one thing you'll notice is I do have under D's my documents or my disclosures. So when you're pulling a property that is listed through Paragon, those documents will automatically pull into our transaction for us. If you are pulling from a property that's in one of the other MLSs, whether it's Realcom or one of the others, it's going to pull into, for Realcom, to Remind. So it's going to actually take you to a Remind page that will actually download those disclosures for you, and then you're going to upload them into the transaction. If you don't see those, if it says there's documents there and you're not seeing any, I found that you have to clear your cache with your web browser. And then I had an issue with a client, or an agent actually had a problem not too long ago with that. So once you clear it, you should be able to see them. Okay, so from here, we're going to go to our little quick start here. So you can see you've got these icons. If you are on the big photo agent detail, you know, it's going to be toward the center here. Agent, it's going to be here on the left side. And we're looking for, it looks like it's got a bunch of lines on it. It's a blue little circle. And it'll say start a transaction when you hover on it. So go ahead and click on that. Give it a second to have it load into Office. Okay, so once it opens up, you're going to get a pop-up window, and it's going to ask you a little bit about the transaction. So you'll see the property address, and under there it says template. Go ahead and select template, the drop-down menu. If you have nothing in there, don't worry about it. What the templates are packages of your documents put together for a specific type of sale. So for example, if I'm listing a property, I have my package for my listing. If I'm selling a property, I've got my purchase package together. If there isn't one in there, you can create these, and hopefully at the end I can show you how to get to them. But we do have a handout that will walk you through them as well. And a lot of times your office have them created. So if you see them in there, we're looking for a buyer package. I'm going to go to my office one, and it's going to be a buyer package here. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then under there, it's going to say MiRealSource, it's residential condo, and it's going to show the MLS number it's pulling. If you don't have a template, then we have to, you're not going to select any of these. You're just going to leave it none. And then you're just going to go down to the very bottom. So you'll skip through. I'm going to go back to leave my buyer package in here, and I'll show you how to add those in. And if you don't have one, so it's not a problem. Okay, so at the very bottom, it's going to ask you to add you as what type of agency. So you want to make sure it says selling agent, and it automatically selects the wizard. Even though I've been doing this for a very long time, the wizard is great because it does auto-save as you go. If you're rushing, you won't forget something. It's a great tool. So always use your wizard when you can, and I feel it makes it faster. In the top right corner, it says create. Go ahead and select create. We're going to give it a second to load. Okay, once it loads, it's going to take us to 5 different steps. We'll start off at step number 1. The first step is going to be your details about the transaction. So you'll notice it pre-filled. And the idea of doing this wizard is you're going to put in some of the items. They will pre-fill here. They will also fill into your contracts. So you can see all of the legal information is here. And if I scroll down further, on the left side, it has listing information, list price. On the right side, it says purchase information. So we're going to put in our purchase price. Whatever offer amount your client wants to make, you're going to type this in. You don't need a decimal, you don't need a comma, you're just going to type it in. So I have this set at 180, market, add a little bit extra here. And under there, it's going to say deposits. What is the amount of your client's EMD? Type that in. Again, no comma, no decimals. If you are adding in appliances, we're going to scroll down a little bit further. And on the left side, it says property includes, property excludes. If you're including those appliances, go ahead and type in all appliances. What it is. If you have any exclusions, if they're taking a chandelier, you can type that in under property excludes. And again, the idea is this will autofill into our contract. Some of these items, and there's a lot you can fill in here, they don't autofill. So I find I use the things that I know are going to fill into the contract. And once you open up your contracts, you'll see exactly what's filling in and what doesn't. Give you a better idea. Okay, so we have our important items in. So we're going to go ahead and select next. At the top here, you also have a save and exit at the bottom. Please don't use this. If you hit save and exit, it's going to pull you out of the wizard and we have to get you back in. So it's not a problem, but we will get you back in. But next here in the top, if you miss something or you need to go back, always hit the previous here. Don't hit your arrow because sometimes that boots you out. So we're going to go ahead and select. Next step is our dates. So you can see here it has a list date, but I want my closing date. So as I scroll down further, here's a closing date. Mine is actually, because this is a pending property, it's already pulling in the information from my pending sale. So it has already closing date, but you go ahead and select this box, select what your closing date is. If you're giving them any occupancy, at the bottom here, there's possession. You can type in possession. Now, sometimes I find this pre-fill, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the contract. So we're giving them 30 days. You can type in there 30. And at the top here, we're going to go ahead and select next. So the next step, oops. Okay, so the next step is our contacts. So this automatically pulls the listing broker, the listing agent. It pulls your office as a selling broker and yourself as a selling agent. What we want to do here is add in our buyers. So if you look to the right, there's a plus sign and add. And different pages where you have an option to add something, look for that plus sign in the add. That will take you into add documents or forms or whatever it might be. Add. And I have 4 options. I can create a new contact. So if I don't have them in TransactionDesk, because we are pulling that file, if you haven't put your contact in there, then you can create a new one, or if you've never written one for them before. If you have, they should be in your address book with TransactionDesk. You can add existing contact, which just pulls your address book. You can add yourself, and you can also pull from Google. So I'm going to create a new one to walk you through the steps. So we're going to go ahead and create new transaction contact. At the top, it's going to ask you what type. Now, if you click this drop-down menu, there's a lot of options. You can add anyone involved in this transaction. Maybe there's a parent that wants to review everything before they sign. There's an attorney involved. If you want to include your office, your title company, you can add whoever you'd like in here, because then you can send it either the signing, you can automatically CC them on it, or you can send it yourself. So I would add in anyone involved in the transaction here. So we're going to start off with Mr. Buyer, and you're going to type in the buyer's first name and last name. The name, so I know this is not my transaction, especially since in the middle of this pending transaction here. So we'll go ahead and an email address. So for the example here, use your email address. So when we go through the Authentisign part, you can send this to yourself and see how the signing works. It's easier to explain. My email address in here. Okay. Under there, you have an option for, excuse me, legal name, preferred signature, and preferred initials. So let me explain what this does. If your client's signature is the same as the first and last name you've put in here, then you're all set. If it's not, and maybe it's because it's a power of attorney, then we need to add what their actual signature is. And the reason being, whatever you type here is going to print underneath their signature line. Whatever you type up in here will be their actual signature. So for example, I have a client who buys a lot of his properties in his LLC. So I have it under here, I'll be associated with LLC. Doesn't matter what you put in each box, you just have to have something in either one. But then here I actually type in his full name. So his preferred signature name, his preferred initials. So I'll have his Lloyd Brown and LB. So that's when you will use this. If what you have up here is what their actual signature is, you don't have to touch this. But if it's anything different, then you want to make sure you put that in there. Their actual name should be in here. Their power of attorney name, LLC name should be up here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and select Save. And then we're going to go through the step one more time. So now I've got Mr. Buyer in. Now we're going to add Mrs. Buyer. So they have individual signature lines. They have to be added individually. You can use the same email address, but you have to add them in one. We're going to go ahead and select Add again here in the top right. Create a new transaction contact. We're going to select Type at the very top. We're going to select Buyer again. Type in Mrs. Buyer's name. So okay. Email address again for yourself, just so you walk through the transaction. You should be set. And again, name is still the same for the actual signing name. So we'll go ahead and select Save in the top right corner. Okay, so we should now have both the listing side, selling side, and both our buyers. So we are set with our contact. So we're going to select Next in the top. If you notice here on the right, as I'm going through this, everything you're looking at here, these are your shortcuts to get to these sections. So we're walking through the first sections here, the first 5. So we are now on forms. If you selected a template, all your forms should be here that you need. There might be something missing. There's something maybe you used that didn't include, but for the most part, your form should be here. If you have nothing there, it's no problem, because I'm going to walk you through adding these items in. So in the right side of your screen, and if you want to walk through this, even if you have everything you need, just so you know how to do it, you're going to select Add with the plus sign again. It's going to pull up all the folders that have options of forms for you. Now, there's 2 things here. You've got forms and you have documents. Forms are always your document, they're your contracts that you actually fill in. So these will be your purchase agreement or listing agreement and so forth. Your documents are going to be things that are already created in a PDF form. So for example, if I have to upload, if I'm writing an offer, I'm going to be uploading my disclosures and they're going to be signing, those will go under documents. So under forms, you can see these are all separated by, office folders or association folders. So you're going to go down to your office if they have a folder. If they don't, you can go to Michigan Realtors. You might be able to find what you're looking for as far as sale part here. If you're looking for listing forms, they'll be under your MiRealSource. So I'm going to go under Michigan Realtors just so I can show you some forms in here. And you can search here in the top right. You have a search box, so I can type in purchase agreement, but some are purchase agreement, some are buy agreement. So you may not pop up, but you start typing it up and it will show you what they have. And it also folder it's in, so you can see where it's coming from to make sure it's the correct folder you want to use. So I'm going to just go back to search here, and I'm going to scroll down here and go to my buy and sell agreement. So under Michigan Realtors, which is your Michigan Association of Realtors, is the buy and sell agreement. So I would select this on the right. See the circles here are on the right. These are for you to select the ones you want. It will check mark it. Now, if you need other items, you just scroll through this again and look for your disclosure regarding agency relationship, which you would need. So you're going to check mark that. And then if there's, the exclusive buyer agency contract, any addendums that you want, this is a condo. So if you want to include the condo addendums for the association, you can include those. So again, anything you need is here. Now, if there's something you need from another folder, you can continue adding from here. So what you would do is at the top where it says back to individual forms, you click on that. Now you're not going to lose whatever you selected. It stays in your basket, because you can notice here on the top right, I've got the number 2. And then go down to whatever folder you need. If I want to go to my own office folders, then I can go in there and pick out whatever else that I need from there. Okay, so allow you to add multiple. Once you have everything in here, then you are going to add them from the basket itself. Right here at the top where it says add, select that, give it a second to load, and it should drop them in the forms. If you have forms in here already, it's going to be at the very bottom. So they'll drop them typically at the bottom of it. No, it looks like mine, it moved it into alphabetical order. These can be moved in whatever order you'd like. I always like my purchase agreement at the top, then my disclosures after. I'm going to move mine. So if I want to move this buy and sell agreement, I'm going to go to where it looks like there's a little piece of paper here. You'll have 4 arrows pop up, left click, hold your button down and just drag it. You can drag these up and down and put them in whatever order you like. So again, I like my purchase agreement, then all my disclosures. If your office created this package for you, there'll probably be things in here you don't need. So if there is, you can just move them to the bottom if you want them out of the way, or you can leave this just the way it is. It's up to you. Whatever is easiest for you. Okay. So now that we have what we need, we're going to go ahead and select next. Okay, so now we're into our documents. So with documents, again, like I explained earlier, if this is a Paragon listing, which mine is, it will automatically pull those disclosures for you. My seller's disclosures here, my lead-based paint addendums here, and I also have an appraisal guarantee addendum going over asking price. So those items are in here for you. If it's not, it's no problem. We're going to add them. So if you go to your plus sign here with the add, go ahead and select that. And you have 2 ways of doing this. You can drag and drop them in and just pull them all in, or you can click in this box and you can find them on your computer. So let's start off with clicking inside the box. It's actually going to search your computer, so you can go down to wherever you hold all of your contracts. Mine are under downloads, so I'm going to go under my downloads. And if it was a real comp listing, for example, and I went to Remind, it would have saved in here. Then you would find your disclosure and pull that in from here. I can pull in from an old one. This. And again, you can select multiple. It looks like disclosure, so I'm just going to pull whatever I have here for you, just to give you an idea how this works. So here, we'll just pull, I'll pull my PA from another contract. And I'll just pull a couple of these. Okay, so if you notice, I held my control button and I was able to select multiple. So now I can select open at the bottom, and it will actually drop both of them in there at the same time and upload them for me. So it's a quick upload, and you can see the drops in here. If you want to do the drag and drop, it's a little tricky, but it's easy. You can do it. At the bottom of your screen, you should have a folder somewhere. You're going to click on your folder, find the location of those disclosures. So I'm going to go down to my downloads again, that up, and let's see, I'm going to pull my bylaws, for example. And then you're going to add, select add again. You're going to go back down to your folder because it's going to minimize it when you do select that. And then I'm going to drag it. So you're going to left click, drag it, and drop it here where it says. And if you notice, it just dropped it in here for me. Larger files, just take a minute. So that you can drop it in that way. You can also select multiple and drag them over as well. Those. Okay, so now at the bottom, I'm going to close downloads. So now I've got my bylaws and I've got these other PAs, which I don't need, but they're in here. If you want to remove something, you accidentally put something in here you don't want, there's a little trash sign here. I'm going to go ahead and remove my PA from my other contract. And we'll use from another property. And use my bylaws. Okay, so now I have just the items I need for this transaction. And I'm going to select done, top right corner. So we have now finished our wizard here. Okay, so we've gone through our 5 steps of the wizard. So we added in all of our information for our client, their purchase price, our contacts were added in, we made sure all our forms were there, and our disclosures are in there. So it's now ready to finish up your contract. So, at this point, it pulled some items into your actual purchase agreement, but not everything is there. So let's open up our contracts. And the way you do this is if you look on your screen here, you have some shortcuts for some of your boxes. So for example, forms, I can select my forms box. And I can go to my buy and sell agreement. So when you open up your buy and sell agreement, and I'm going to look for my Michigan one, here it is. You're going to open this up. It's going to take you into a forms editor. And what that's going to allow you to do is finish up your contract. So once this loads, you're going to see exactly what filled in and what didn't. You can see what's missing at this point. So it did pull all the information. And if you scroll down a little bit further, I've got my legal in here. I did select all appliances. That's in here. I excluded the chandelier. That pulled it in. My price came in. Now it wants to know, what is your method of payment? So is it a cash or are they doing a mortgage? So you're going to type in, and say their mortgage or financing and so forth. So conventional. And the amount of your loan amount. So whatever amount they're going to say 150 and so forth. So you're basically, the idea is you're going to go in and fill in as much of the rest of the information that's missing to this point. Closing date to pull in. Occupancy is a little tricky with some of these contracts, so it doesn't know how to fill it in. So you're going to have to type it in. It doesn't feel. Some of them will pull into, depending what it has. I think it depends on the wording and the way it's set up, but they're supposed to map into different areas. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. So if they're not, you just want to put in. So for example, if I give them 30 days, we're going to give them free occupancy. You put that in there. When you're done with this contract, now it's supposed to auto save, but I don't always trust that. So at the very top here, it says File, top left. You know, File, Save, and then Save again, the very first one. The first one saves it and keeps it in that form as it is right now, where you can still fill it in again. If you hit Save as PDF, it's going to download it, and then your PDF is obviously locked. So you always have to go back to your forms to make changes. I'm going to select just Save and Save again. Now I'm going to look for my other contracts I need to fill out. And if you look at the top here, we have some shortcuts. First thing in the middle here is transaction forms. Select your transaction forms, and everything we have in our file is right here. So now I can pick whatever I want next. So let's say I want my disclosure regarding agency relationship. Here it is. I can click that, double click, and it's going to load that for me now. So now I will fill this in. Okay. So you're going to go through, like I said, all your forms, make sure they're filled in. So let's go through all your options up here at the top of your screen. So I'm going to go back actually to a purchase agreement because there's items in here that I need certain boxes to be able to fill out. So let me go to PA. And the top left of your screen under File, we have a few other options other than just saving. So if you go to File, first option is New. If I want to add a new form, you can click on here. I don't have to exit from here. I can now just add a form directly from here. So I'll select New. It's going to open up all your folders again, and you'll go to whichever folder you need. So if I want to go back to MAR, I'm going to select that, or maybe I want to go to Gross Point Board of Realtors, say I have something in here that I need, and then I can select what I need. And then that's going to, I'm going to close this out, it's going to save it under your transaction form. So when you're ready to load it, you can load it from there. Under File, you have Open Form as well. So this is another way to get to your transaction forms. It's right here. It's another shortcut. Under File, you have the Save. So again, regular save as PDF. I can copy this. I use this quite frequently for addendums. So if I have addendum typed up and I need another addendum, I like using this because a lot of times I can't remember what my original contract date is. You need the contract date on your addendum. So it just pre-fills that for me, and then I'll make the change of whatever I want on there. So I do use copy. Watch the erase button because it will erase all pages or current page. So it will erase everything typed in. So you be careful with that. Under File again, you have a watermark. I honestly have not used the watermark for any of my clients, but what it does, it gives you an option. So maybe you have an attorney involved and you want to send this for him to review it before there's any signing done. You always go watermark and do a draft so he knows this isn't your final copy. And you can see a watermark drops in here with draft on every page. When I am done with the draft in my watermark, I just go back up to File. I go back to Watermark and just remove. File, Watermark, remove. And then it takes that watermark right off. Under File as well, you have Remove. That deletes this form. So if you click Remove here, it's going to delete it. So please be careful with that. I can print this right from here. I can send it as an email, a fax. I can send a copy of this into my documents into another folder. So for example, I sometimes have written multiple, as most of you probably have, offers on multiple properties because they were overbid or whatever happened. So at that point, I want to use my maybe exclusive buyer agency. I want to make sure it's in my new folder. Then I can send that over into documents, and it'll give you an option to select one of them. So then you look for your property address. You also have the option of help here. So if you're stuck on something, that does give you some help. We also have the great handouts that are step-by-step guides, which are really easy to use. So I would suggest those. And then you have Save and Exit. Now, if you hit Save and Exit, it's going to pull you out of your form editor. It takes you right back to your dashboard, but we're going to stay in here for a little bit longer. So we'll working with. At the top of your screen again, to the right of File, you have fonts. So this changes everything you typed in, all your fonts on this page. So if I go down to Style and I select Times Bold, it's going to change it all on here. This is probably better because you can see now mine was cut off before and it fits. If I want to change the color, you can. I had a newer agent tell me that he would fill everything out in red, and once he had everything in, he would go back through it and then just make sure he didn't miss anything. So that was his way of being able to do that. Now, if you send this to your client without changing it back, it will get everything in red. So just make sure you go back into your font and change your color back to black or blue, whatever color you'd like again. Under fonts as well, you have size. So when you change size, it is changing it for everything on this form. So if I want to make this bigger, I can, but be careful because it does start to cut off after a while. So you just want to be careful with size. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my size. I'm going to drop it back to my 10 point. And it does give you this quick text functions. I really haven't used this. You either put everything in uppercase, everything in lowercase, or you do a title line. I haven't really had a reason to use that yet. To the right of your fonts, you have clause. Now, if you don't see a clause button, don't worry. It's because you don't have a clause already created. And at the end, I will hopefully have time to show you that. And if not, we do have a handout for that as well. What the clause is something that you use over and over. For example, if I'm including appliances, it's something I usually type in all the time. And because of underwriters kicking this back, I always add in there with 0 value. I found that otherwise I'm having to type up a new addendum or add it to my addendum or so forth. So under my clause, I'm going to add a clause, but in order to do that, you have to have a multi-line box, which means you have to have a box like other or toward the end of your contract where you can add additional terms. So I'm going to go right here, other terms and conditions. So you need a box like this in order to be able to use these clauses. Now, if there's an area in here you want to use a clause and it's not letting you because it's just a single line, bring it into your other terms and conditions. And once you have it in here, you can actually just select it and copy and paste it in. So I've done that a few times. So under other terms and condition, you want to click in the box so that way it's highlighted where it's going in. Then you're going to select clause if you have it. Again, if you don't have it, don't worry. I'm going to show you how to get to these later. So select clause. I have personal clauses. I have office clauses, which have been created by my office. And sometimes there's system clauses. Looks like there's nothing in here set up by the MLS. We're going to go back to my personal. And I have a couple in here. So my appliances, I have one for concessions, which I seem to use over and over. I have one for my EMD. And I also have a septic clause. If you're dealing with well and septic, this is good one you have. So I'm going to just check mark what I want. So just to show you what they are, I'm going to drop them all in. We'll see how much space I have. It might be a little too much, but we'll try it. So once you select them, you select OK, and there they go. So it drops them right into here for you. So as you go through these, I'm just going to get rid of these extra lines so everything shows up. Okay, so I have everything from, and it looks like all my appliances are here with 0 value. I have about concessions, which I typed mine in and just left a blank area for the number to add in for, concessions and what I want it to go towards. I have something about the EMD being done after the acceptance. And I also have about a septic, about prior to inspection. So these are the items I have in here. If I want to keep them, it's great. If I need one of these in a different area, I can put it. And then if you hold your control and the letter C down, that copies it. And then if I want to drop this somewhere else, which typically I wouldn't put anywhere else, but just to show you how this works, here, I'm going to drop it in this line. You just hit Control and V, and that'll paste it for you. So that's if it needs it to be somewhere other than your other, right here in your box for other terms. Okay, so if I want to remove any of this, I can just go back in. You can still modify it once in here. So I'm just going to, my appliances in here. You know what, let's drop those here too. Just have it. So with my concessions, I'm going to drop in here 3%. And okay, so I have my clause done. To the right of the clause, again, is your transaction form. So when you're done with this, you can move on to the next. Again, I always file, hit save, and then I go to my transaction forms. The right of that, where it looks like a book, if you are looking at a contract that has multiple pages, this is just a fast way to get to the page without scrolling. So I can just click on here and go back to page 1, and it just scrolls up. Excuse me. Okay, to the right of that, we have our zoom. So I can zoom in and zoom out, and then this will fit by width or length of the page. To the right of that, these are our markup tools. Now, you've got a couple different ones here, and one thing you want to be careful with is if you're using these, usually I will use this if my contract comes back because the seller has countered our offer, and I want to counter maybe that offer. So I will come back in here, or if it's my listing and I want to counter an offer that came in, and I can actually go in and I can put a line through items, and I can highlight different things. So it allows you to do a couple different things. And you can also type in with this text box. So let's go through a couple of these. So let's start off with Strikeout. Strikeout allows you to remove a line. So maybe I want to make sure that the seller paid home warranty is out. I don't want that included. This is, there's multiple offers on the table, so I don't want to compete. So you're just going to left click, drag this out, and makes a nice little box or line for you. but it's a box around it, so you can left click and move it down and cover that area. Once your line is here, and if you right click on it, a little box will pop up and it'll say, what size do you want it? So I can make it bigger. And what color would you like it? So I want it red, so they notice it right away, and I don't forget to put initial lines next to it. And if I don't want it, I can delete it. So all I did again with this is just went under my markup tools, hit Strikeout. You will hold on to your button, left click, drag it wherever you want it, let go, right click on it, and then you can make the size change or color change on it. Everything. Okay. All right. Once this is up, if you want to get rid of it, you just click on it, right click, and there are little trash buttons right here. You can get rid of it. So I'm just going to leave it for now, just so you can see how these come in when we do the signing. Okay. Back up here at the top, you have a line. So if I want to just put a line through instead of the strikeout tool, that's pretty much the same thing. Come in here and nothing really in here. I want to remove, but if I need to remove something in here, say my key as pro services, I can drag your line. Oops. And there it is. When you right click on this, the options, size, color, trash. So if I want to get rid of it, I can delete it right from here. Back over here where your markup tools are, under your line is a highlight tool. If there's something in here you want to highlight, maybe for your buyers or for the seller to see as you're sending it to the listing agent, this will allow you to highlight any section. So if I want to highlight this, I would just left click. You're going to drag it out and down. So it's actually going to create a box for you. And then you can move it up and down. If you right click, I have the option of changing the color and how dark do I want it. So what's my opacity? So 50% and make it dark. Just be careful you don't go too dark and you're not able to see the shading. So close it a little bit here on it, so that way and see it as well and still continue with what you need to on here. Okay. So this is your highlight tool. We're going to go back up to the top. Redact actually will cover an area with these stars, but it covers a whole paragraph for you. So instead of doing the lines, if I want to cover, say, sewer and water charges, I'm going to go ahead and click Redact, left click, drag it out, and there it is. So the only downfall with this is you can't read what was, what you've covered the area. Where your lines, you can kind of still see what was underneath it. So if you want them to see what it was that you removed from the contract, then I would suggest using the line tool, but it does give you this option as well. And this around. Okay, back to our markup tools. Under our redact, you have annotate. This allows you to type. So I don't usually use this in here on the forms unless there's an area I want to type something in and I can't. Because right now in our forms, I can click in any of these boxes and fill it in. But maybe there's something is in here that I can't, or I need to add something to a line. So I can come in here, let's say, where under our private inspection, for some reason I need to add something. I go over to here where my markup tools are. I select the annotate. You're going to click on your page. Little cursor pops up, and now I can type. So inspection, we'll put on here. Wave. Say we're waiving the inspection, and I just want to make sure that the seller is noticing it. Stand out. So I can right click, and I can make it larger. So let's 14 points. Make it really big. I want to go red so they notice it. And if I'm trying to cover something, you have this background that says transparent. You can. I sometimes use this when I have a counter offer. I can just put over the price and then add my initials to it as well. If you need something to type in, this allows you to type it in. Then you can add your initials when you set up your signing. Okay, so back to the top under your markup tools, that was your annotate. Clear all. If you played with this today and you added a bunch of things and you don't want them on there, just hit clear all, and that removes everything that you just put in under your markup tools. So your lines and so forth will be removed. Okay, so that's everything in our markup tools. To the right of that is this pen here. This is for Authentisign. So if I wanted to pull this contract into Authentisign and just set up my signing now, I can. But because we are doing a full purchase agreement with other addendums and disclosures, I don't want to do it yet. I want to finish filling everything out and then go into my signings and create it from there. And the last thing here is save and exit. So that gives you all the tools that you have once you're in your form editor. So if I'm done in here, we're going to go ahead and select save and exit, and we're going to go back to our dashboard. So we should be back to this page. Okay, so from here, just show you really quick how we can get back to different items and changes. So once you've gone through the wizard, you don't have to go through it again to make a change. You can if you choose, or if you're on the wizard and you accidentally hit save and exit, you boot yourself out. If you look here on the right, now if you don't see this, there's 3 lines over here on the right side of your screen. To the right of this little shopping cart that will open up this section. It just minimizes it sometimes on your screen depending on what you have. So if you want to go back to the wizard, that takes you back. If I want to go back to each section, so for example, my dashboard, you select dashboard, takes you back to where all your shortcuts are. My details, that is step 1 of our wizard. So that's where we put in our price, our contacts. And again, you can make changes here. So you can still always hit the add button to add our forms. Same thing, I can add my forms right in here. You have a signing folder, then documents, we'll select your documents. So that's where our disclosures are. You have a checklist. Checklist allows you to set up for maybe items that you need reminders about to make sure you have everything completed for your transaction. I don't use it honestly just because of timing more than anything else. I find that I'm constantly running, so I don't use this, but I do know agents that do, and they like it. You can send yourself reminders just as well as tasks. It does the same thing. I can send myself a reminder, inspection needs to be completed by a certain date, sends me an email, and you can do it from there. So if you decide to go through these, there's always an add button, and I'll walk you through the steps. Call logs. This might be good if you are on a team. If you're working on a team or even an assistant, you can make notes when you've had conversations with your client. So if you get your ad, it allows you to type in what your conversation was. So then the other person. Service orders. This will allow you to set up for different types of providers, depending what you're using here. Again, mine's not set up for anything, but you can set up for the company, a certain company name, title company, mortgage company, and so forth. History. History is really good if you're not sure if you sent your signing to a certain client or if you forget, if you resent it. This will walk through everything we just did, step by step. So you can see here, from the minute I open this up to now, everything is in here. If I need to go back to see what I did, or if it was an email sent, you can see a little more information about these with these little eyes on the right here. So if I go back to information update and I hit I, it's going to actually give me what was put in. So you can see all a breakdown. If it's an email, it will show you the email address it was sent to. So I do sometimes use that if I wasn't sure. So under there, you've got an area for your home warranty. So you can order home warranty directly from here. Again, this is something you'll have to set up as well. Title order, if you want to include your title company, you can set this up so that way the order goes into them. I'm not sure how, if your office does, but my office sends everything in for us. So, and then under there is Marketplace. These are additional items that you have in here that you can I pay for, I believe. Some of these are additional fees, possibly. I haven't used all of these. Obviously, Cloud CMA, I do have that, but this e-commission, title insurance. So these are some additional providers. Okay, so going back, go back to my dashboard. And I'd like to take you back into your forms. So go to your forms. And if you notice on the right of your forms, there's 3 dots. Now, when we're going through the wizard, those 3 dots are there, but there's very few options. When you're out of your wizard, you have a ton of options. If I go to my buy and sell agreement and select those 3 dots, I can preview, which will open up the contract for me. I can download it, which will create as a PDF. I can delete it. Properties or rename it. I use this quite frequently because sometimes I have multiple general addendums and I want them named for what they are. So I'm not clicking on everyone trying to figure out which one. You can add a mandatory lock so nothing can be put into it. You can edit your form, which is your form editor, which we did earlier. Excuse me. If I send this, I can send it as an email. I can send it as a fax. I can copy and I can move it. I can do a slice and markup, which I would like to show you. Slice and markup I find is very beneficial. So 2 options here. I can slice my form, and what it does when I go into slice up or markup, it's going to create it as a PDF. My form will stay in forms as an open file, but it's going to create a PDF that's actually going to slice or mark up. So, excuse me, if I go to slice form in box, so it's now created a PDF of this. The idea is to remove what you don't need. So you're going to select what you don't need. So I've had it where we've done a price change, just, the price was changed on the front, or something was removed from appliances and we need initials, and I don't want to send the whole contract back. So I'll come in here and I'll remove all of these. And if you look at the top right, you have a trash. Sure you want to continue? Yes. Have one contract, and if you're not sure which page you need, there is a magnifier, so it will open it a little bit larger for you, and you can make sure you're selecting the correct one. So now I just have page 1. Now, when I'm ready to save this, you're going to go save as. Just do save or replace document, because now you're going to lose the rest of your contract. You're going to go save as and name it. So usually I'll do PA, or revise page 1 of PA, or whatever it is. So I know when it saves it under my documents, that's just the one page. Save, drops it in there for me. And you have to be careful when you close this, because when you close it, it's going to ask you, do you want to save changes? Make sure you hit no. We don't want to remove the other pages. We've already saved what we want to. So now I'm going to hit no, and it's going to go back under documents here. I can see it under my forms. Under documents, bottom here, buy and sell agreements here, page 1 is here. So I have both of them still here. If I need to mark something up, so I need to add something to whatever might be in here, say my buy and sell agreement, you can go back to your 3 dots here. I can go to slice and markup. And this I find is very helpful if I'm the listing agent and I want to counter the offer that came in. And I can come here. Okay, so my forms are going to open. I can't read this, it's very small. So I like to zoom. So you're zoom and zoom in and zoom out are here in the top right. So I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. And the tools you have up here, first thing is your text box. So with this, I can type in wherever I need to. So I forgot to add with 0 value on my appliances. So now I want to add in there with 0 value. And don't worry, it's typing below it, it's not a big deal. Resize it. So once you have what you need in there, we resize it. You'll be able to move it wherever you need to. Right click on it, and I can change it now. So I want to make it a little bit smaller so it matches the rest of my print. And I'm going to go to Roman, so it looks the same. And I want to make it bold, so you can see it. And actually, I probably go a little bit bigger. It's small. Okay, so there it is. So now I can just I'll put it right next to all appliances and with 0 value. Looks like I had it in there to begin with. Under to the right of your text, you have a freehand. Now, if you are an engineer and you're really good at drawing straight lines, this is perfect for you. I, on the other hand, I'm not. I look like I am 5 years old when I use this. So, to remove, you click on it, what it does allows you to put a line somewhere. So if I want the home warranty, I can go through here and draw a line now. As you can see, my line's not so pretty. So it doesn't really straighten it. It looks like this. So I suggest you right click on this. Again, size can be changed. It can be changed to color, but I'm going to delete it. And I am going to use my nice line, which is right here, that will draw it straight for me. And I'll drag it out, move it wherever I need it. Smaller, right click on it. I want to make it bigger. I want to change the color first. Blue. Okay, there it is. Again, make sure when you're doing all these changes that you add your client's initials when they're signing. Okay, so that is how you do your line tool. The other tools on here are basically highlighters. So the big fat one here is just like a big fat yellow highlighter. And just like I did earlier when we were looking at the different markup tools, You can do the same, it's the same thing basically. So I come in here, I want to highlight a section maybe. And if you click on the right side, you can make it darker. You can color where you want. The other two, the square and the circle. The square is pretty much just the same as this. Let's go to another page. Right here, you should have arrows. I've really done a lot of markup on the page. It's the next one where you can see what I'm doing here. So as this loads, we're going to draw another highlight tool on here. So I'm going to zoom in, and square, I can highlight too. Click, change the color to whatever I want. See, and we're good to go. Okay. To the left of your square here is your circle. I don't use this one as much because I find that you're missing some of your wording, but maybe I would just want a little circle area to go over. I want an oval or whatever it is to highlight my EMD for some reason. Click, opacity, so I don't want it, as dark or light, but see, change the color if you need to, and you're good to go. So those are all your markup tools. When you're done with this, you can hit save and hit save as. Again, we want to hit save as, put on here revise PA, so you know what it is. Hit save. That's going to save another document now for you. Once it's done saving, there's a close on the top left. I want to continue. Yes. So you want to exit? Yes. And when I go down here now, I should have my revised PA at the bottom. If you click on it, you should be able to see it. So, and all of the crazy stuff I have all over, it's a little bit of a mess. Very colorful, but a little bit of a mess. You'll see all my lines and highlights and everything. So again, whatever you're doing in here, your clients are going to see it when you're sending it. There it goes. Just a second here. So there's everything that I did. All right. Okay, so I'm going to close that out. So we went through doing our slice and markup tools. And if you go back through this 3 dots, the only other options you have left in here is send it to Authentisign, upload a revision, revisions that you've done. You can make notes on these, the history again, and also to certify your digital signing as well as in here. Okay. So we have now put in everything in our contract. We have filled everything in that we need to fill in. We have all disclosures included. So our next step is going to be taking it into Authentisign. But before we do, I'd like to stop just in case there's any questions or something I need to show again. How are we doing, Deb?
We're doing perfectly good.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. I'm glad everyone's following along. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty, so let's now go into Authentisign. Okay, so if you look back to the right side of your screen, we're going to go directly from the folder itself. So just click on signings. And again, if this is not open, you've got those 3 lines, go ahead and open that up. Go to your signings, and it should be blank, and we're going to create one. So that plus sign and add, you start off in here, and we're going to name it. So I usually will put in here offer on this minute and save. Okay, and here we go. So it's now taking us into Authentisign. I'm just going to give you a brief overview where everything's at. There is a mobile version of this, and it works great. If your eyes are as bad as mine, you probably have to zoom sometimes, and just be careful with your zooming because sometimes it moves some of your boxes, but it's fast, it's nice. If you're on the go, I do it a lot of times through my phone if I have to, but iPad, it's great too. So, but there's an option for you to do that as well. So if you look on the right side of my screen, I have signers, docs, tools, my layouts, options, and feedback. So your signers start off first. Now, since we create everything in TransactionDesk, we're now going to use everything from that folder because it all pulls into here. So you can use that, your contacts from here, your documents should all be in here and so forth. So for my signers, I'm going to go here on the right, and it says add participants. So I'm going to select add participants. I can add myself, I can add new, I can add from the transaction, which is what we want to do, or you can add from your contacts because again, everything you create in here for your transaction saves in your address books. They go into your contacts in TransactionDesk. So we're going to go to add from transaction, because in here, I should have everybody I need. I need Mr. Buyer, check mark them, Mrs. Buyer. Now, both of them are going to be signing. So if you look at these drop-down menus, you want to make sure they're signing. If there's a parent involved and they want to review it, you can include them. Again, there's a review button, and then there's a CC where they'll just get a copy. So maybe the parent just wants a copy of the contract. You can CC them on it as well. If you want to include the listing agent, you're welcome to, because it'll come to me. You can select the listing agent, and just make sure, though, you want to CC them, and let me explain why. If I add them as a reviewer, once Mr. and Mrs. Buyer sign and I sign, then it's going to send a copy to them. They have to review and accept it before any of us will see signed contract. I like to sign, complete it, and then everyone gets a copy of it. So that's, if I'm sending to a listing agent, I do use CC. I'm going to include myself as a signer as well. Okay, if you don't want to include the listing agent, and a lot of times I don't, if there's multiple offers and I'm on a deadline, I definitely do. But if I have time, I like to send them a specific email and just maybe type something in there about them. But you can add, if you are going to send it as a CC while you're doing your signing, when you do your documents, and you can add additional, include your pre-approval letter, include anything else that you need for that offer. So then you can just select everything and drop it all in there, and it's ready to go. Okay. If you look at once we hit select here on the left, you have to set signing order. So if I want these in a specific order, and a lot of times I do this, I will put my buyers first. So by the time it gets to me, I can double check to make sure that they are in the order I want. So I'm going to hit, let's see. Okay, I have them in here. So select or signing order. So I want to make sure they're saved in here first. So that you can see here, they've got numbers. So you can actually just type the numbers in. Or to the left of that, I can actually drag these. So I want to be last. So I'm going to have Mr. Buyer sign first. When he's done, it goes to Mrs. Buyer. So they have to complete the signing before the next one sees it. If you're in a hurry to get these out, then keep your signing order off, and everyone will get it at the same time. So it goes out to Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, and myself. If you CC someone, they are not going to see it until it's completed. So it's not a problem. You don't have to worry about them getting just a contract without signatures. So you can just don't set a signing order. Everyone will get at the same time. They'll sign. Once it comes back as a CC, everyone's signature will be on the same contract. So it's not like you're going to have multiple contracts. It'll be the same one. But I'm going to keep mine as a signing order for this example. And I got Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, and then myself. And then I'm going to keep the listing agent on here just how we'll send them. Okay, so I'm done with them. If I need to add more, you always have your participants at the bottom. If you are done, you can X this out. And we're going to go to the next step, which is our documents. We want to add our forms. So you can click on here to add them. It's going to open up your folder for your transactions. So everything we did in transaction desk is going to be here. All my forms should be here in a second once it decides. Once you get to this point now, you're going to see everything from the forms you created to your disclosures that the agent's uploaded. So all you do is you walk through this and you literally hit add. So I'm going to go in here and just click add. And I've got my disclosure regarding agency relationship. Here is my association addendum. Go down a little further. I want my seller's disclosure. Just right here. And I want my letter-based paint. Okay. So I have everything that I want to use for this transaction. So select add. If there's something you need to add that's not in here, you have an option to upload. So you click on this folder up top, and then I can hit drag and drop. I can drag and drop them in here or click in here and find them on my computer. If I want to go under my files, this will allow me to go under my documents, and I can go to a specific, maybe I have it in another folder, for example, like we spoke about before, writing multiple offers for your client who's been outbid multiple times. I may need my disclosure regarding agency relationship from a different file. I can go in there and find it. And if I open up any of these, it's going to show you the contracts that are in here. This one doesn't have any right now, so I don't have to, anything there. But again, that's a way for you to search it through your other transactions. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit close. All right, so this might pop up if you see this layout mappings. It's a good thing. What this does is that some of these contracts have preset signature boxes, preset initial boxes. And the nice thing about this is it saves you a ton of time, because when we're going to walk through it, I'm going to take you through and show you exactly what to do to put this together. But it takes time to drag from, you have to go from each signature or each name and then pull in their signature and pull in their initials. So if you have this, use it. And what you're going to do is signer 1, which is going to be my buyer, his name in there. So Mr. Buyer will be here. Signer 2 is Mrs. Buyer. Signer 3 is going to be myself. And I'm going to assign signature blocks. So anything that it has it saved for that's been created already through the system, we'll drop it in. Let's see if any of these are not. In here, so I'm going to, they're there. So here's one of them. So it looks like on this contract for my disclosure regarding agency, I pulled it in. So there's Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, and it's on the right spot. So now I get to move them. So again, some of these, I have some that are older from past contracts, and the problem is when they make changes, I have to go back in and change these. This is probably one of my old ones that I never changed. This and remove all their stuff. So it wasn't as helpful as I thought it would be for this one, for this case. But I'm going to show you a better way to do this, because then I can see what I'm doing. So if you go over to the left of your screen here and go back to your docs. Okay, so I'm going to select the document here that I want to do this for. So I'm going to go to purchase agreement, and in here it should say the name of it. So it should be whatever one you have selected, and you have your layout already saved for it. You're going to be able to find it in here. So if you click down here, you're going to go down to that office folder with the name of the office. Let me see if I have one saved in here for this one. Go to my buy and sell agreement. And I think I might be an older one too. I updated, but I'm going to throw it in there. Okay. So I'm going to hit apply. So that's going to drop it in for me. So again, it's going to come up and say, okay, where do you want everybody? So Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, but actually I'm going to move them up here. So Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, I'm going to remove this one, and then selling agent, myself. Perfect. So these will go in the correct boxes this time. I'm going to assign those signature blocks. Okay, so now let's take a look at it. Now I think my purchase agreement, and there we go. All my initials have popped in, so they're good. Now, the one thing that didn't pop in is everything that I've marked up in here has no initials by. So that's something you definitely want to make sure you got. So I'm going to go back to my tools here on the right, and I'm going to walk you through all these tools. So each one of these signers are going to be up here. So you're going to have that drop-down menu, and I've got myself and both buyers. Since I CC'd myself as a listing agent, you won't see me in here. So start off with Mr. Buyer. I want to get his initials over by these lines. So under sending actions to the right, I got initials. You're going to left click. All you're going to do is just drag it over and drop it. Then now I need Mrs. Here's initials. If you notice, my colors change, which I love, because now I can see quickly by going through these pages, I've got one of each. If you accidentally put, two of Mr. Buyer, you'll know right away, which is nice. Okay. So, and obviously I've got 2 lines here. I would put those in, and I would walk through this way. For signatures, now everything that we selected here, every form, is just going to be one file. So if you go through here, you just keep scrolling. So here's the disclosure regarding agency relationship. I'm going to start off with Mrs. Buyer here. I'm going to drag her over. And if you notice, when I do, this auto date comes up. If you don't want the auto date in your settings, you can turn this off. Mine, I kept on for signature lines. Now, for the initials, for a while there was, and for some reason, I'm not sure why they did it, auto date would pop up. So I had my initials and there's an auto date every time I pulled initials. Well, I found that that wasn't helpful at all, because I had to go back through and delete them. So if you do get a date that you don't want, if you click on it, there's a trash button. So I am going to put these in here, and I'm going to put Mr. Buyer's signature in here as well. And again, you just want to move their dates. Now, I don't have their name printed underneath, so I would like my name under here as well. So under Signer Fields, full name, I can drag over Mr. Loaded here. I can add Mrs. Fire and drag her full name over as well. All right. So I have my signature line. I've got your initials. I have a text line here. Now, I don't use this text line. What this does is it allows your client to type in the box. I usually don't need to type things in. I'm typing them in. They're initialing the changes. So I use the text box down here under Markup, which I'm going to walk through as well. You have an option for checkboxes. So for example, here under the names, you can see I've got potential buyer, seller, it's not marked. So now I can take my checkbox. Perfect. So if you notice the color stays the same. So for Mrs. Buyer, I just pulled that checkbox. Whatever name is here is the person that will be able to select that item. So you'll see all green boxes for anything that she'll be doing. You'll see blue ones for Mr. Buyer. Okay, under here, you've got also initial pages. So for example, if my purchase agreement, I think I pulled both PAs in here. Let's see if I can. But if you need to initial multiple pages and you don't want to go from page to page to page, you can do multiple pages. And I'm just going to drop how it works. You're going to select initial pages. It's going to ask you what size would you like. Would you like a medium box? I'm going to go ahead and put a large box so you know these are the ones I just dropped in. Where would you like it to be? I'm going to drop it on the right so it doesn't go over the ones I've done already. Do you want the top or the bottom of the document? They're going to be on the bottom. And whose initial boxes are going in? I want Mr. Buyers and Mrs. Buyers. Okay. Which documents are we adding those initials? I'm going to add it just to my purchase agreement. And do you want all the pages? Sure. If you want specific pages, you type in your page numbers here. Select page and place initials, and there they are. So you can see those initials dropped in on all those pages for me. All right. So that's a fast way. I do use initial pages quite frequently. I do love that. But again, anything you're adding here, you can always move it. So if it's not in the right spot, no big deal. You just move it over. It's no issue at all. You can also resize these. So if I need them bigger or smaller, you can up and down, make it as big as you want, or as big as it will go. You have a little trash can here. If you don't want it, you can get rid of it. Okay. All right. When you select these as well, it gives you a few more options here. So if the required is on, that means your client cannot bypass it. So if you want to make sure those initials go in everywhere you need them, make sure the required is on. Because if it's not, they can bypass it. They can finish their signing and there won't be initials where you need them. If you want to add a name block, it will add the name block in for you. If you want your date stamp added, it automatically adds it to each, to the initial we have highlighted. If you want a timestamp, same thing. Whatever I'm highlighting, these are the options I'm doing for the highlighted box for everything. Okay. So I am going to close this out. Oh, and you do have a scale button here, which I do like this one before. So another easy way to make it bigger and smaller. All right, so good with that. It's going to take you back after you close it out. So that's initial pages, initial choice. My client has a choice. Do they want lead-based paint inspection or do they not? I'm going to give them the choice to make one or the other. So I can come in here, go to my lead-based paint inspection, and I'm going to click on initial choice. 2 boxes pop up, and I'm going to put on here received 10-day opportunity to conduct lead-based paint inspection, or I am waiving it. So I'm going to make sure we leave room here for both initial boxes. So this allows them to choose one or the other. So Buyer, I want Mr. Buyers, then I can do the same thing. And if you, there you go. Okay, so now they can just go ahead and click and they'll select. And when we go through the signing, you'll see it. If you need more than, the couple choices here, and again, these can also, you can right click. Let's see. That's just the only thing you can do with it. But radio choice gives you more than one option. So for example, if I have something and there's 3 different choices for them, this will give you 3 choices for them to check mark. And it check marks, it doesn't do the initial boxes. So if I do radio choice, you can see these little dots pop up. So if they pick this, or they pick one, they can. It only allows one choice. If I click on this, let's see. It allows you to resize them, but I'd like to add another one in. Oops, button here. So I've got under him. Is it not adding another radio choice? I'm not seeing it. Okay. Typically, you can add a second one in here, and I'm wondering if they changed this. So to me, I find that this is not, if we can only do the 2 radio choices, it's not as helpful. And again, it's just a check mark. It's not your initials, which usually you want your initials in some of these. But for this one, it allows me only to do 2. So I'm not sure why that was changed. I'll have to check into that. Okay, to the right of radio, you have a drop down. So this is new, and I'm trying to find out, quite honestly, what this is doing for you. Oh, so it gives you a drop down list. So you can have multiple choices with a drop down menu. That's interesting. This is new. I haven't used this yet. So this is definitely a new feature. So it looks like you can add multiple choices, and they can click on that and select what you want in the box. So that's a nice little option. I'm not sure what I would use yet, but I'll have to play with that. Okay, under there, you have now the option for your fields that you can add to your initials and your signatures. So full name, if you need their name printed anywhere under any of their signature lines, you can add those in there. If you need the auto date, if you need an email address or an auto time, those are here for you to drop in. Markup tools, just like we did before, these are all the same. Again, it's the same thing. So the one I use probably the most here is my text box. I get here and realize I forgot to add in concessions. My client's going to kill me. So now I need to go back because I don't want to start all over again. I don't want to have to go out of here and back to TransactionDesk and pull it all back in. I can come back to my other terms, select text box, in the box, type in, option is, seller okay. So maybe I forgot to add a hot tub in. So I'm going to drop that in there right here. And once you have it in, resize it, perfect. Right click on it. See, I don't want to copy it. This is one thing you have to get used to because I'm so used to right clicking for my options, but I have to remember they're on the right side of my screen. We used to have to right click in the old office side. So I have my font size I can change. I can change the color. You want to go Times New Roman so it looks the same. Where I want to place, and then I want it bold so it's out. You want it italic. You want a transparent background to go over something so it doesn't cover something up. So I can add it right into here where it's not going to go over my other words. You can. Okay, and then done with that. So again, just make sure that if you're adding this after as a counter offer, just make sure you have your initials. If you're adding this before your client signs it, it's not a problem. They haven't signed anything yet. You can add it in. You don't need your initials. But again, if it's a counter offer, or there's been signatures on here and they haven't seen this before, you need to make it in and some initial lines there for them. Okay, so that is really it. So everything else here in these markup tools, again, we walked through earlier, do the same thing. You've got your highlighters, you've got a freehand, which I never use, you've got your lines and your strike through and so forth. Okay, I think we are good with our signing tools. We have everything we need in here. Now, as we talked in the beginning about those layouts, you have hopefully some layouts already set up for you by the MLS. Hopefully your office created some for you, but if they don't, well, you can create them yourself. And as you do these, now I'm not going to say this is a layout because this is a disaster. I've got everything you can imagine on here that I don't need. You want to make sure when you're saving a layout, for example, if I'm doing this layout right now and I have initial boxes for strikeouts or additional text boxes, you don't want those in your layout because typically when you're mapping in those layouts, you want your basic initial boxes, your basic signature boxes where they go, because I may not strike through these sections next time, so I don't need initials here. So I would not say this is a layout, but to save one as a layout, your layout's here. So you can see there's layout options, and you can create a layout right here. And this will allow you to select the one you want to name it again. I have one already saved for it, so it's telling me I have to create a new name for it, and then that'll save it for you. Again, just make sure it's your basic signature, basic initials, auto dates are great, things like that. If I want to apply one, you can apply it from here as well. This will allow you to go in here to apply layout, which I don't want to change it right now, but you can select which layout you want by clicking on those boxes and finding which one you want, and then just assign it. Okay, so we have walked through basically all of our tools in here. So This is ready to send, but before I send it, I just want to check in with Deb if there's something I need to show again. Did I go over this too fast? How am I doing, Deb?
Sorry, it took me a minute to find my microphone there. Actually, we don't have any questions. So if you guys have anything, while she's taking a second here, if you want to throw something in your questions box there, just as a little time here, as long as we have a second. I will be getting this up on YouTube. So probably by tomorrow, you should be able to see it. Looks like we're good on questions.
Okay, perfect. And then we also have the YouTube. It's everybody. Hopefully, everybody has subscribed to our YouTube, so you'll have to let them know where to go afterwards too. So we can make sure we get all our subscribers in there. Some great videos are in there as well. Okay, so we've done everything we need to, so we are ready to sign. We need to send this to our clients so we can get our signings in. So let's send these out. So we're going to go to next here at the top. Oh, before we do, let me just show you real quick underneath here. I just want to make sure I cover all these. Under your option, you have a couple different options in here. So first thing under signing details, you can change the name of the signing. You can set an expiration date. So the only time I really send these out with expiration dates is maybe there's multiple offers on the table, and if I don't get this in by a certain time, don't bother signing it. At that point, we're out. So if I want to, I could set up, an expiration date on this. Reminders. I do love this reminder. If you hit reminders, unfortunately, it only allows you to do one a day now. Every day you can do one at a certain time. Before you could send it like every hour if you wanted to, which I loved, because sometimes your clients forget. Sometimes I forget. The email comes in, I'm busy, I completely forget I have a signing in there. So it's nice to have an email reminder in there just to say, click here, you got to sign something. So you can send those in there. Authentisign ID position. If you are signing over something again, so it's already been signed, it's your counteroffer, it's your final PA, bottom line signature, whatever it might be, you have those Authentisign ID positions that come in, ID that's always set up at the top left of your screen. If you don't want those, and those numbers are actually, the number will be the same as what it is for your client. So they set up a specific key code so that way if anyone ever has to review this again, they know the signer had signed, there's their key code and it all matches. But if you don't want the top left, you can put in the bottom left, right, wherever you want to include it. So I usually will leave it where it's at. If you leave them all at top left, it's not a problem. It used to kind of go over each other, but now it will drop another key code underneath the ID position underneath the first one. So it'll just keep dropping them. They'll just be smaller and smaller. So it's not an issue at all. Okay, and then clear signing fields. I don't know if you want to do that, but if you want to clear your markups, your signing fields, you can, but I'm not going to because we won't be able to sign it. But that's all under your option button. So that's everything in there. So we've basically gone through everything in here. So we're going to hit next. We've got, and actually it might give me, let's see if I did a signing box. If you don't do a signing box or initial box for any of your clients you've selected as signers, you will get an error here and it'll tell you that you need a signing box for each one that's selected as a signer. If you're a reviewer, you don't have to worry about it. If it's CC'd, you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Okay, so finalize signing setup. First thing is asking, do you want expiration date? It gives you another option again to add a reminder. So I wanted to remind them every day at 9 a.m. Hopefully they're going to do it the same day. You won't have to worry about this. Under there, it says customize invites. I'd like to add a specific subject on mine. So otherwise it says invitation from TransactionDesk to sign. If I want to include something different as your subject so they know what it is, I usually like doing that. I'll put on here. On Janet, so they know what it is when it comes in. So I'm going to put on each one. Only thing I don't like that you can't do here is I can't, because you can put a message in here as well. You can't set up the subject line or a message for anyone that's CC'd. I'm not sure why they do it that way, but I can type in here a message if I want, and otherwise I just hit save. Okay, perfect. So now I can send this, and it should go out. So I'm going to go into my email. So if you've sent yours, you're welcome to go into your emails while I walk through this. So I'm going to go up here to the top and my email's open. Sometimes it takes a second, so I'm going to refresh it, give it a minute here, and here's my first one. So it does show it's coming from you. So you can see my name is here, and then my subject line, offer on Janet, came in, and when we click on it, it's going to say, hello, Mr. Loaded, my buyer. Elizabeth Harris is inviting you to participate as a signing party as an Authentisign e-signature document signing. The signing name is offer on Janet, and I'm going to start signing. And then we're going to walk through all these steps. So let me try here. And as it comes through, and sometimes I find these come faster through your email on your phone than it does on your computer. So just bear with it if you don't get it right away. Sometimes you need to refresh a few times. So the first thing it's going to ask you is, do you accept the terms? You're going to have to accept the terms. And then once you get in here, you're going to hit start to begin. But if you notice, this is kind of the same view we had. Everything is just one document. And then on the right, the only options they've got, they can start, they can reject it, they can download it, they can print it. Under here, their options are change the signature, they can view the disclosure, they can see the agreement between parties, they can see the history. You can also do feedback, and there's an exit. On the top left is where they zoom. You zoom in and out if they're having a problem. And in the middle, it tells them the progress. So right now, there's 14 boxes that they have to select for signatures or initials. They're going to select start, and the first one pops up. So the nice thing is it's going to move fast, and this is what I tell them. If you want to read through this, read through it before you hit start, or you're going to have to read through it after or download a copy, because once you hit start, it's moving pages for you. So it's not as easy to do. So it will actually highlight the area. They're going to click. And now the first one that they do, it'll ask them what do they want to use for their signatures and initials. So you can select a font. Actually, it's giving us a few more. We used to only have 5 choices. They added a couple different ones. So whatever font they like, or if they would like to draw theirs, and if you haven't used this yet for yourself as an agent, I suggest doing this. You can draw your actual signature or initials, and it'll save it. So every time you go in there, you'll be able to use the same one. So let's see if I want to try this. The nice thing is it does straighten things out. Before it didn't, so it does kind of straighten it out, but it's not as pretty as having and I'm just using my mouse, an actual font picked. So yeah, it looks like it's, 5-year-old drawing, but I can, again, if I don't like the way it looks, so I'm going to hit the X here. And if you have a touch screen, let's see how mine works. There we go. A little bit better. Not the prettiest still. It works. I can add my initials. There it is. And then if I like it, they just hit set signature. And then they can remember it. So again, for yourself, if you like your signature once it's in, remember it. If you want to change the size at all, you can. It looks like the size of the pen. So you actually have to change it first. So you can thicker signature. I'm not good with the mouse, so that doesn't work too well for me. Okay. And if they still don't like the way it looks, they can go back to their styles and they can choose one of these. They can actually upload. If they got a photo of your signatures or initials, you can upload it as well. I'm going to go to a nice one. So just because that is the last one. Just kind of surprising these fonts that they're selecting here. It's not an actual signature one. So set signature. Here, I'm not going to remember. Once they set the signature, there it goes. Okay. So now they can click and they won't have to select what they want again. Now, once they do it once, they can go in here and just click on every box. Anything that's highlighted, they want to go through and click on. The ones where there's choices, you can see some of the things that we picked up earlier. Okay, this is a lead-based peanut demo. It's going to take a second here to load. Alrighty, here we go. So the radio buttons. So if you click on one, gives you that option. If you click on the other, it removes the other. The initials, so they get to initial one or the other. So now they can complete signing. When they're done, it tells them you're done, complete signing. And they can still download or print it from here. And if they want to tell them how great their experience was, they can. And that's about it. So this is done. Now, as an agent, you're going to know exactly what's going on with your clients as far as the signing goes. So I am going to refresh this. And a second here. It should tell me once it's been signed, you will get an email notification letting you know that it's been updated and who has actually signed. Great way for you to keep track of who's signing, who's not, because sometimes, again, if they miss it, you can call them. Now, the idea, if you are doing an order, it's going to stop at that person until they sign. So if Mr. Buyer doesn't sign, Mrs. Buyer's not going to see that contract until they do. So just be aware of that and make sure that you let them know that until especially if they're using the same email. Once you sign it, then you'll get the next one. But if you don't sign it, you're not going to see it. So, is there any questions while I am waiting for this to load? I wanted to show you. I'm going to go to my next one actually while I'm waiting for the next one. So my next signing came in.
No questions as of yet, but I did put the YouTube channel in the chats for the gang.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Steph. Okay, so now Mrs. Buyer is going to sign. So Mrs. Buyer's done. I'm going to hit start and go through the same thing. She's going to pick what she'd like for her, and I'm not going to go through actually trying to create my own. So I'm just going to do her actual font, and I'm going to set her signature so I can kind of walk through this quick so I have time to show you things. And as I go through these, go, and it moves pretty quick. So as long as they download it or they wait till after they read it before, they should be good. So this one I also included a checkbox underneath. Now I'm back to my lead-based paint stickies. Load, but at the top here you can see I've done 12 and 14 signature boxes. So same thing here. So she's going to do initials, and she's done. Perfect. So both of these have finished. So both of my buyers have finished. So let's see if anything came through yet. There we go. So both my updates came in. So as an agent, I received this. Says an action has been taken, placed on your signing. My offer on Janet, my document's been accepted. The date and time, Mr. Loaded, and this is his key code. So this is the same code that is being stamped on every one of the pages that's involved in their signing. Okay, so that's a way of showing that they actually did sign this document. So to my next one, same thing. It looks like Mrs. Spensidal is here as well. She's done with her signing. So both of them have completed it. And then the last one will be myself. So as the agent, I think I have one box. So I'm just going to whip through it real quick because I want to show you the finished product. So I'm going to accept terms. I'm going to hit start. You'll notice mine will go straight to the box. And when I click on it, mine goes in. I only have one. Complete signing. Goes, and I'm done. So pretty quick. So now all of them are completed. Now, once they're done, everyone involved in the signing will get an email. So they're all going to get one. It tells me this has been completed. And then it's going to send you a copy to download it. I can now download a copy of it as well. So anyone you include in the CC, same thing. They can download a copy as well. So that's what this is from here. Now you can also find it in TransactionDesk. So we're going to go back. So I'm done with my signing. I'm going to go back to Paragon. If yours is not open anymore, if it closed out, just go ahead and log back in. But under Resources, I'm going to take you back into TransactionDesk from here. And from TransactionDesk, there's two places you're going to be able to find those completed forms. So I'm going to go back to my Janet Circle here under Transactions. And under my Documents is where you will find it. So if I go to Documents, you're going to notice, let me just move this over a little bit here. So if I go down, there should be a folder here on the offer, and did it not come in yet? And I'm not seeing my, oh, here it is, offer on Janet, there it is. Okay, so it creates, now this is one thing it's been doing too, is these folders. So it creates a folder for you. So here's the offer. And if you notice, it has like a little lock next to it. So that tells you it's been digitally signed and it's certified that it's been signed. You will get two different things here. You get the actual document, and then you get a certificate showing that this has been signed and it's been certified as well. So if you don't include the listing agent, then from here, I can select what do I want to send to them for the offer. So I can actually click on the addendums and my disclosure regarding agency and my lead-based paint and my purchase agreement. And now I can go to my basket and I can email it from here. Baskets have multiple choices. So when you're choosing a basket, you can do different things in here. So first thing is you can email. If I want to send this to myself or to the agent directly, I can. I'll send it to myself. You have an area here to select a contact, or you can just type them in yourself. You can always change your subject. You want it as an attachment. And if I want to see what I'm sending them again, this tab here will show you exactly what's included. So hit send, and that will send it to them. Under your documents here, you have a few other options. So let me show you your little icons real quick. So from the documents, which these again are all PDFs, you can move any of these. So you can move them to another folder. You can merge them. So if I want to send these to, a lot of times listing agents don't want like 10 attachments. They'll ask you to send as one file. I can merge these by clicking merge. You can name it. So package, offer signed package. Signed. And Janet, merge docs. So now it's going to create another document in the same folder for me. I'm going to close this out real quick. Scroll down to the bottom and go to and back to my folder. So I should create another one here that says, where did I put my home? I think I dropped it back into my home folder. While it loads here, there it is. Okay, so it drops it up. It doesn't put it in the same folder, so it moves it back to your main folder. So offer signed package on Janet. So it's right here for me. So then I can just send it this way instead. Again, from your basket, you have an option to copy it. So I can copy any of these documents as well. I can copy them to the cloud, but I can also download them as a zip file. So that way it's smaller. The only problem with doing zip forms is if they don't have a tool to unzip them, they're not going to be able to open them. I can take it directly to signing. So I can send it to Authentisign. You can print it. You can send it to a fax machine, and we've tested this, and it does work. It does send to a fax. So email again, and I can trash this. So this is a way you can get rid of things you don't need in here. Okay. So those three dots here do give you additional options, and so those are the different things you can do as well. So you've got the dots in there in the basket. The basket's what we just saw. Again, the dots is giving you the options as far as preview, print, download, delete, and so forth. So if you're going through the dots, you're picking that specific form or document. If you're going from the basket, you can have multiple selected. So if you need to do something with multiple, you definitely want to go through the basket by selecting first. Okay, so we have created our signing, sent our signing over, completed our signing. We've gone through creating everything in here. So I want to take you through creating a file in TransactionDesk directly. So we did a purchase agreement. I'm doing a listing. I want to go directly from TransactionDesk, so I can go into tax records and pull their information. But we're going to do this pretty quick because I just want to show you a couple things in here, things that you can do, which makes it a little bit easier for us. So we're going to go back to our main page. From here, if you look to the left of your screen, you've got these three lines as well on the top left corner of your screen. When you click that, you have other options here. And these options on the left are for everything in your TransactionDesk. Everything on the right is specific to that transaction that we have open. So on the left here, first thing is your dashboard. So this is your main page. So everything in here is broken down. You've got your transactions here. This pulls all the different forms, the more recent ones by date, but for all different folders, whatever file you're on. Authentisign, you'll have all the different ones here. It's nice because you can see when they've been completed or if you're still working on them. And your documents are here. And then you have shortcuts here. Yours might not look exactly like mine. You can always make changes to this. And the way you do this is you can lock and unlock your dashboard right here at the top. And then all these boxes appear. So anything that's already highlighted in green or blue is already here. If it's not, you can left click and drag it over. You know, on your, I'm sorry, the ones that are not highlighted, the highlighted colored ones are not on your screen. Okay, and then once you make your change, it will save it as a default for you. All right, so transactions on the top left again from your three lines on this side, transactions are next. This will open up just your folder for all your transactions. So everything you do in here, once you click on the TransactionDesk icon from any listing, it automatically creates a folder for you. And then that's what these folders. So it's like a file cabinet. It holds everything you've done in here. To the left of that, and if you want to make changes, again, you've got these 3 dots, give you a couple options here for each specific file, and then you can select multiple and say, I'm cleaning this up and I want to go in my basket, I want to trash these, so I can pick different ones. Okay, so if you go to the left again, you've got your signings. So all of your signings are in here. So same thing, you got your 3 dots to make, you got a couple different options in here. And then if you want to trash them, you can select one and it gives you an option to trash whatever ones you don't need. The left of your screen again, it's going to take you over to your forms. So all your forms, if you wanted to see what folders and forms you have, this just opens up your file cabinet with your forms and you can look at them. Okay, so just like before, it's got all the different individual folders and you can open them up and look what you pulled. Okay, so to the left of your screen again, your document. So again, it shows like a little file folder or a cabinet. So this is where every time you create a transaction with anything through the quick action link or you start a transaction, so they're going to be under your transaction folder, and then they create it by property address. So the only downfall with this is one thing I don't like is it goes by the number of the street when it organizes instead of the street name. So if you don't know the actual address, it's sometimes a little bit more difficult, but you have to scroll through. Okay. If you have up your broker manager or if you have the admin rights, you should have broker tools. And there's some options in there for brokers. Your tasks, if you create tasks, they're going to show up in here for whatever file you've done. Your contacts, this is your address book. So every time you add a contact in there, all of them are in here. And if you ever need to go in and modify or make changes to them, you can find them right in. To the left, partners, I believe this is if you add in additional partners with what they've got already set up in here for you. Again, it's something I haven't really worked on. Settings, under your settings, this is where you can come in and do your preferences, program settings, your linked applications. So your linked applications are going to be your phone, your iPad, anything that you have given permission to use the mobile version of this. So that's where you'll find these in here. So you actually have to have an activation code to add it. So you would create it in there. It gives you this code. It's only good for 15 minutes. You have to add that in. And then it links that onto your mobile device so you can use it from your mobile. Okay. And if you go back to settings, notifications are in here, clauses, which I'll hopefully have time to show you. And if not, you can come in here and actually walk you through creating a clause. And then as far as your, what we looked at earlier was your transaction templates. If you don't have those created or want to create your own, these come in here. You go to add, and it's very simple to walk through them. Okay. So I just want to get back and show you really quick because I know we're getting short on time here. I'm going to go back to my dashboard. I know I clicked on a lot of things here. I'm sorry. I don't want to confuse anyone, but from your agent dashboard, we're going to create a transaction like it's a listing. Create transaction. Okay, so it's the same, it's going to be the same steps like we did earlier from selecting that quick action link from our actual listing in Paragon and brought it in. You're going to name it. So I'm doing a listing. So I'm going to put on here address. So we can do Janet Circle. My template now, if you do have them, it's going to be my listing package. I'm going to pull information from Realist. I'm going to pull tax records now. If you listed it before, you can pull your information from your old listing, but make sure it's your listing and not, someone else's. Again, with other people putting them in, sometimes the information changes on there. Tax records aren't always right. You want to double check them, but yeah, I would. Property that it's your own if you're going to create another transaction. So it's in Macomb County. I don't know the fire there. Just want to make sure county's in there. You're going to put your street number and street name in here. 4146, I think 4146. Oh, we'll try it. And the street name is Janet. Now, if this is circle, I'm not going to put circle. You don't want to use circle, drive, road, because this pulls from tax records, and if it's not exactly the same way as it shows in tax records, it won't find it. So very simple, street number, street name only. Bottom here, search tax data. And there it is. So then you're going to select it, hit select again, and your tax ID number pops in. I'm now the listing agent, and I'm going to select create. Load. Okay, so again, the same 5 steps that we did with the wizard before. Exactly the same. You're just going now into different boxes to fill in criteria. It's not going to be obviously the same as writing an offer, but some of it will pre-fill, as you can see. Some things will not, so you'll still have to select them. But here, the main thing is going to be is your listing information, your list price. And put your here's real one, and that's all you really need here. If you want to put anything that property excludes or includes, you can put that in as well. And then you'll select next. So we're just going to walk. I'm going to do a couple quick things here. I want to just show you a couple options you have that makes it a little bit different here for when you're doing listings. So for transaction dates, you want to put in the listing date. So we'll put in for tomorrow. Expiration date, I'm going to put in for Sunday. And that's all you really need in here. Select next. Your contacts, the nice thing with this, you are pulling tax records, so it's now pulling the owner's names. So it should have your office in there, yourself, and your owners. If it's missing someone, you can go ahead and add just like we did before. I'm going to select next. Your forms should all be in here. If your forms did not pull in, there's 2 things I'd like you to pull in here right now because I would like to walk you through these. I'm going to end up taking you through two different shortcuts we have. One is the seller's disclosure statement. The other one is your MiRealSource listing, your data sheet. So we're going to go ahead and add these. I'll show you where they're at just in case you don't have them. So you're going to select add with a plus sign. And get this to load here. And the first one's going to be under your MiRealSource folder. So if yours loaded, just go to your MiRealSource folder. And we want our data sheet. And once we get all this in, I'll explain why. Sorry, it's a little bit longer here to load. Sure. We're slowing up a little bit here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so go to MiRealSource. And we are going to click our data sheet for residential. And then you want your seller's disclosure statements. So I'm going to go back to individual forms at the top. Scroll back to the top, back to forms. And I believe Machine Realtors should have one in there for you. So go to your seller's disclosure. And there's mine. Okay, select basket. Should I have two items in there? Select add and drop those. Okay, so let me show you why we're going to do this real quick. I'm going to hit next. We're going to skip through the rest of this because there really isn't anything in documents you need to add. So hit next because if you're doing a listing, you're going to be filling out seller's disclosure lead-based paint. So you don't really need to upload anything at this point unless you've got maybe a power of attorney or something that needs to be included. So hit done. And let's go to our forms. So I'm going to go to my forms folder, either from shortcut on your page or to the right of your screen, select forms. And the reason I had these 2 come in, first of all, seller's disclosure statement. So I had this happen. I had a client who was in Arizona and they listed his house here. Well, the problem was when we were filling this out is he had no access to a printer and he couldn't really scan anything for me as well. And back then, you know, the phones weren't as great as they are where you can scan things. So I needed a way for him to fill the seller's disclosure statement out because I'm not filling it out for him. Obviously, none of us want to do that. So you can allow them to fill in online. And the way you do this, you're going to select your seller's disclosure statement. I'm going to check mark it. You're going to go in your basket and you're going to email this. Now, it's just like we did the email earlier, but there's an option here that we didn't select earlier that I'm about to show you. And if you want to send it to yourself and see how it works, you can. I'm going to just send it to my email. And at the bottom here, the option says send as attachment. That's the default. But to the left, send as a link. When you select that, allow editing of forms and set an expiration date. So I can allow them to edit the forms and I can also set an expiration date. And I would set and the reason I would set the expiration date is if they decide to go through that email again, if you haven't set an expiration date, they can go back in there and make changes to the seller's disclosure. So I would give them a few days just to make sure they can fill it out. And I used this on my seller and it worked perfectly. Send. Okay, and if you want to check your email, you can do it on your phone. I'm going to try to go to mine and see if mine came through and just see how it works. Okay, so let's see. So my email did come back into for my signed contracts that we did earlier. So refresh it. Might take a minute or two to come in, but I just want to walk through it, just do a couple real quick so you can see it. So when you're sending this, here it is. When you're sending this, you're not actually sending them the form. You are giving them access into TransactionDesk to fill this out. Just like we're filling it out in the form editor, they're doing the same thing. So be careful not to add other forms in there. So you don't want to add your purchase agreement and everything else because they can type into everything at that point. So it's going to say transaction form invitation sent. When we open it, it'll tell them that it was sent by me, and it's related to the Janet Circle transaction. And you can view these forms by clicking links below. If they tell you they can't fill it out, and if they don't see this line here, that means you didn't check mark to allow them to edit. So it should say you have been granted permission to edit these forms. So if they keep telling you I can't do it, resend it, make sure you're selecting that allow editing. It'll show the form, and they can go ahead and just hold it. That's it. So then I'm going to go ahead and select the form. TransactionDesk. And I'm just going to fill in a couple real quick just so you can see how it works. So again, form editor like before, they have the option to save, print, exit. They can change their fonts. They can go from the page, they can zoom in and out, and they can do some markup tools as well. So my client's going to come in here and mark what is included. This is not available. So what's working, what's not, what's unavailable. So tell them just to go through and mark everything up. And then after they mark this, then they can type in to the question. So has there ever been water? Yes. Here. Okay, back up. So they can type in whatever they need to and finish all of it. Now, I have to always explain to them a couple times because I forget this. They can't sign from here. So when I'm doing my listings, I will send this to them while I'm preparing the rest of the package and tell them fill this out. Once you're done, all you're going to do, it's very simple. You can download a copy of it, but what I like you to do is just hit File and Save. And File, Save. And then all you have to do is exit. Because once they've saved it, they've actually saved it in TransactionDesk. And that's it. So as their agent, I'm going to get a notification in my email. Let's see. My email real quick, that they have opened this up, and then I can go in then into TransactionDesk and see it. So real quick to show you, see if it came through yet. Here it is. TransactionDesk form opened by Lisa. So it shows in here that I have actually opened the form. And sorry, here it goes. And it said I sent the invitation to her, and she has opened it in the date and time when she did. Now, when I go back into my resources index TransactionDesk, I should be able to open it right in my folder itself. And when I go into Form Editor, I'm going to see all those changes done. So let me go circle this, and I'm going to go back to Seller's Disclosure Statement. And I've had agents, or not agents, but clients actually fill this out from their phones. There it is. So the things I've check marked, I typed into, it's all there. So very simple. So again, a great way for them to fill out the seller's disclosure. They don't have to print, they don't have to scan, they don't have to email it to you. It's done. Just remind them they're not signing, they're just filling this out. And then once you get it back, you'll be able to send them everything together as a signing. That's one of the little shortcuts we have, which I absolutely love. The second one is your data sheet for MiRealSource. So when I do my listings, I will come in here and I fill in as much information as I possibly can on my data sheet. Into my forms here and pull it up. Here, come in. Sorry, it's taking a little longer here. I think it's here. So once I open this up, once it loads, here, let's do this. So I'm going to just exit real quick. But maybe faster. So then I print it with me, and then I can fill in whatever's missing. Then I come back and I fill in the rest. And the reason being is that I have a shortcut in here that's going to save me a ton of time of getting that listing in the MLS. And so here's my data sheet. So I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to have you fill in just a couple items if you open yours up, because if you don't, it won't let you move on to the next step. So I'm going to walk you through just a couple different items. Then you can do this nice little shortcut. It's going to save you a ton of time. And if your admins put in your listings in the MLS, that's great too. This is going to save them a ton of time and yourself, because if someone else is putting in for you, you're going to have to review to make sure there's no typos. If you do this yourself, then it's going to be your information being put in there. So I'll show you. So the things that need to be filled out is this. The first section is going to be your contact info, but the second one here says all required. It needs to show that it's a sale or lease. It's a price has to be in here. The list and expiration date need to be in here. And then down here in the section for location, you go a couple sections down. You want to make sure that your school district's in here, because and I know these are the reasons you're going to get an error. It's not going to let you move on. I want these filled out. So this one is going to be Chippewa Valley. Let's see. And my Chippewa Valley schools. Here it is. Make sure your area and municipality is in. So it's Clinton Township. Okay, so that's the main thing. So as long as you have the sale, what type of property it is, the price and dates, and then if you go down further, again, it's just going to be the schools. Need to make sure that this section here needs to be filled out. And I don't know if all of this are the cross streets and so forth, those are an issue. So what I'm going to do now is, again, after I'm done with my listing appointment, I come in and fill everything out. I even put in my remarks. Because when I'm done, I can upload this listing right into Paragon, and it will save it as a partial. So then you just have to go in, fill in a couple extra things. You just make it active, add your photos, add your documents, and make it, and then it can be a live listing. This will save you a ton of time. So trust me, if you want something that's quick and fast, this is great. I use this all the time. So to move this into Paragon or add it into Paragon as a partial, you're going to go to the top of your screen. If you notice now you have an upload listing button. This wasn't there before. You're going to click on that. And once it creates, it's going to give you a partial, like a partial number to that listing, show you where to find it. Sometimes if you get an error, and then you might have missed filling something in, so you'll just have to go back and fill that in, and then you can hit that upload again. Here we go. So the listing was successfully sent to the MLS system, and it gives us partial number. So it's not a full MLS number, just a partial. If you go back into Paragon, once it's in here, you can go to Listings, Maintain Partials. So if you go to Listings, Maintain Partials, and I'm going to go to My Listings and hit Search, and then here's my Janice right here. So now I can open this up, and it's going to open up everything that I still need to fill in. So at this point, I'll go in and fill in the rest of the information, or you just let your admins know, whoever's handling your listings at the office, that you've saved it as a partial. They can pull it from your partials, and then they can finish it up. So again, it's a huge time saver for you, for your admins, you know, and it's everything that you've put in. You now don't have to double check everything and have to type it all in again. And you can add photos, you know, add your documents, your social score, your leverage teams. Okay, so that's it. So that is, again, that is from going in from my RealSource data sheet, filling in the information, and hit that upload listing button. So those were the main things for listings. Again, everything else we went through with a purchase agreement, you're doing the exact same steps here. You would go back in and finish filling everything out. You can send us an e-signing. You can always print things and meet with your client, but lots of options in here. So if there's any questions at this point, if not, I can show you real quick the clause and transaction templates before we end our class. How are we doing, Deb? Are we still pretty good?
We're good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we got a couple minutes, so let me show you real quick how to do your transaction template and your clauses, because I find I use those quite frequently, and if you don't have any, it's kind of nice to have them. So let's see, mine's still loading here. Once it loads, we're going to go back into your preferences in the bottom left of your screen. If you can get there, mine's still loading for some reason. If you go over to, you know what, it's open twice. If you go to those three gears on the left side of your screen toward the bottom, that will take you in. There it goes. Okay, let's go to your settings over here on the left. And we want to go down to our clauses first. Under clause, personal clauses, if you are an admin, manager, brokers, you can create these for your agents under office clauses, and then everyone will have access. So if you can do these, I'm sure the agents would appreciate them. If you can't, you can do, everyone can do their own. Someone might have something specific they want in there. Again, this is just something that you might type over and over in your contracts, and you want to be able to just have that shortcut to be able to drop it right onto your contract and not type it again. So from here, you're going to create a new one. So at the top, again, remember the add and plus sign. That's what we're looking for. We're going to add a new one. You're going to name it. So you want to know what it is. So if I'm doing one for concessions, you want to put on here concessions. Okay. Then the content is what's actually being typed into your contract. So you would type in whatever it is that you want and hit save. That's it. It's that simple. Once you have them in here, you can always modify them. So I can always hit edit. I can come back in and make changes to it. Right? So that's your clauses. So again, very simple. It takes a couple minutes. Set up whatever you need, and that will save you time in typing into your contract. The other thing is going to be our transaction templates. So if you go to the left of your screen, hit your settings again, go down to transaction templates. And again, your office will have some maybe already set up for you. You can create your own. We have all here. So if you look on this page, you have maybe some setup, and if your office created them, the way you'll know, on the left of the name of them, you will see 2 people on them instead of just 1. So anything with 2 were created by your office. If they were created with your office, you can't do anything to these. You can't modify them. You can't delete them. If you create them, like I have a class test here, I can click on here and I can delete it if I want to. And I want to delete the form and get rid of it. Create new ones on the right top section here. There's your add button and your plus sign. Click on that. It's going to be your own. You're going to name it. So I want one for maybe a commercial lease. So the next step is really how it knows what to put into each and how to map everything out. So this type. So if it's a commercial lease, I want to make sure I select commercial lease again. And then I can put a description if I want, but I don't have to. I can hit save. And I'm just going to put commercial. So I know one that I use. Hit save. Okay. So you have a lot of things here and you can fill in. You've got some information. Again, description is one of them under your details. You can add checklists. You can add context specific to this. If I want to create maybe my title company with each one of these, or my admins at the office, I can add them in here so I can just make sure that they're receiving everything right away. You can upload to documents. So if you have maybe something that you like to include in every one of your listing packages or sales package, you can upload it right from here. But to create your actual template itself, the items you need is going to be your forms. That's the most important. You're going to click on your forms here. I have nothing. And on the right, you got a plus sign. So all you're doing is you're clicking the plus sign. It's going to open up all your forms by folders. I can go into my office one first, find what I need. So this is going to be a lease. So let's see, this is commercial. I'm going to put in commercial because obviously that limits the forms that we have. And I'm going to try to find ones that I use. So if I want, again, it's very limited. MAR has a few. Here's my exclusive right to lease listing agreement. So I'm going to need that. This is my listing, actually. I want my lease agreement. Let's see if it's in here. Listing agreement. And it's not. So we will just put this in, right to lease. So we'll just throw that in there now. You just hit add, and it drops it in. Then I can add the next one. So again, you can add them all at the same time. If I forgot something, I come back. But if I want, say, any business forms in here, I find that we lack on commercial and business contracts. There isn't as many, obviously, as residential photos. Okay, so if I want to include authorization to sell business opportunity, so I can drop that in. So you would add it in. Okay, so these will be in your forms. Once these are in, you can move these in whatever order. So once I've got them all in here, now I can have them if I want my authorization in first and just move them in the order. And that's it. I'm done. You don't have to save. It automatically saves and you're all set. So when you go back into your transaction templates, be in there. Okay, so that's everything. We have gone through quite a bit. I'm sure I have completely confused you, and I apologize. There's a lot to cover in here. There's even more I could show you, but I would really throw you off then. So we got through doing a PA. Basically, we went through our listing itself, clicked on our little link here, took you into TransactionDesk. You selected what templates you wanted, and it walked you through your 5 steps, finish filling out the forms, and then create your signing. Go directly from your right from TransactionDesk itself to create a transaction right from here. So from your dashboard, you've got your little shortcut here, create a transaction, select everything from tax records, put everything in there, and then walk through those steps again. Okay. And then I showed you how you do your seller's disclosure statement, and as well as doing your data sheet and creating partials. So I think I covered everything, Deb. Is there anything I missed, or anyone want to see anything again real quick, or anything I can answer?
Okay, I still see no questions, but you've covered a lot of ground today, and we greatly appreciate that.
No problem. I'm glad we can get through everything, and actually we did it right on time. We're 2 minutes off. So please, yeah, don't forget that Deb's got those great handouts. And if you need other handouts, they're in Paragon, and I'll show you real quick under your MLS documents here at the top. It's a great tool. Again, like Deb had mentioned, we have a ton of files in here that all of us have worked on and created. And the screenshots, I find it's very helpful. So you at least have a way to, where's my, here, this side, 81.
Yeah, you have access to all the MLSs.
Oh yeah, I got a little bit more, but Deb's done a great job. She's actually reorganized a lot of these in alphabetical order for you. But at the top here, all you have to do is type in whatever you're looking for. So if I do TransactionDesk, anything that we have for it will pop up for you. That's, I find, is the easiest way. And then you just click on them, and it downloads a PDF for you. And again, these are so easy to follow. Everything that we went through today, let's real quick, we'll have the step-by-step. They're just PDF. So they're kind of nice to have open if you need to walk through and you want to try it yourself. But you can see here's all the steps, and I mean, there's some great area. You can find things very easy, so it's very easy to go through. So I think we're done, Deb. Is there anything else?
No, ma'am. We are good to go. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. It's finally Friday. Woohoo!
Wonderful. So I think we're good. So if there's anything else you need, obviously tech support's available to help you. And we've got, again, many ways, avenues to help you. And don't forget YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, right?
Yep.
We need subscribers, please.
You're welcome, Linda. Glad everybody could attend today. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much.